Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is always an honour to stand here and represent our districts, of course. I represent the district of Harbour, Grace, Portagrave, and today I also want to acknowledge International Women's Day. And we know that we have a lot of young women from our province, of course, who just participated in Daughter of the Vote just recently here in the Confederation Building, and they're in Ottawa today with the Prime Minister. And I'm proud to say that one of my own constituents, young constituents, she's certainly displaying some great leadership skills. Miss Rebecca French of Bay Roberts is in Ottawa today. But it is an honour to stand and speak now to Interim Supply, and I can't help but reflect on some of the comments made by our honourable colleagues across the way. And I will say this for the record, I think each one of them are fine people on a personal basis. But how deceiving to stand in this honourable House and to not take any responsibility and to play ignorance to the horrible decisions that have to be made here now, given our fiscal reality. You know, it's a farce to listen and to listen how they claim ignorance and not knowing. Hello, the reason why the province finds itself where it is, it's because of the mismanagement of funds for the past decade. Where were your decisions? Where were your thinking hats when we had $25 billion? And to ask about seniors now, we all care about seniors and young people. We want our young people to be retained here in the province, and we have amazing educational facilities and post-secondary facilities and training programs here to keep our young people here. But where were your thoughts and where were your decisions during that time? You know, when we had an abundance of funds that were in the province at that time.
Order, please. Order, please. Point of order. The honourable member for Topsail Paradise. On a point
Chair,
of order.
I'm very hesitant to interrupt the member opposite. I don't like to do that. Thought I had the floor, Mr. Chair. I don't like to do that, but I have to bring a matter. I feel it's important to bring a matter to the Chair's attention under Standing Order 49 regarding offensive language. Member opposite just accused members on this side of the House of deception. I believe that's unparliamentary for her to do so. We've heard these things in the House over recent days since we came in a most recent sitting, and we've let it go. But, Mr. Chair, I think it's important that we maintain the decorum, proper language, and proper conduct in the House. And I apologize for interrupting, but I think it's important to bring this forward and ask that you rule on it.
Chair recognizes the honourable Government House Leader.
I don't believe, Mr. Chair, there's been absolutely anything said by the member behind me that would constitute a point of order under Standing Order 49. And in fact, I think there's been a lot of stuff said on the other side that might be considered Standing Order breach. Thank you.
The Chair will take it under advisement and report back. The Chair recognizes the member for Harbour Grace, Portagrave.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So again, I want to remind the people at home, and of course the people here in our honourable chamber, of Bill 29. We talk about not being transparent and whatnot, but Bill 29, there was a lot of legislation that was smuggled, and I use the word smuggled in under Bill 29, such as Muskrat Falls. And I've often questioned, does this province even need that project in the very first place? So just to put that out there for our thoughts and for our viewers at home, and for all honourable members here in this House. But having said that now, Mr. Speaker, on a more lighter note, I also want to promote the town of Bay Roberts. As I mentioned recently here in the House, Bay Roberts has made the top 10 finalists for the Craft Hockeyville 2017. And of course, this is quite the accomplishment to get to this level, to make the top 10 among all the communities chosen across our great country. And of course, we're calling on Newfoundlanders and Labradorians home and abroad, you know, to certainly come and support Bay Roberts this Sunday, March 12th, March 13th. The voting is online, and all those details can be found on the Craft Hockeyville site. I also want to throw a bouquet out to the team at Powell's Supermarket in Bay Roberts, and of course residents in the town and town staff in Bay Roberts for making it happen. They've raised a lot of awareness and promotion around this event. The Bay Arena, which is a 30-plus-year-old building, it's a centerpiece in the community, in the region for that matter. It certainly brings residents together, and doors open there 6 o'clock every morning. It's quite the busy building, so certainly Bay Roberts and the Bay Arena and all residents who utilize that facility are certainly deserving for Craft Hockeyville. So I certainly ask, you know, everybody here across our great province, and as I said, Newfoundlanders and Labradorians and even family members and fans of our province across our country, you know, to tune in and vote on Sunday and Monday, March 12th and 13th. Also, it's a great opportunity to talk about things that are happening in the district of Harbour Grace, Portagrave. As we know, we've had to make a lot of tough decisions, of course, but a concern that citizens have come to me about, and a lot of my residents, are the children that are on the highway. And I just want to talk about that. We do have speed radar signs that are now in place on the Conception Bay Highway in Harbour Grace, and in the school zone there, and that speed limit has been reduced now to 30 kilometres per hour. So just want to make note of that, of course. Also, we talk about the tough decisions that are having to be made. Absolutely, tough decisions are having to be made, and it's heart-wrenching. And I will make no hesitation by saying that, and I hear that on a regular basis in my constituency office. It is, but having said that, please, with all due respect, take responsibility for those who were in charge of making decisions at that time, and who were in leadership roles. I ask, and a very, very big topic in my district, of course, it was a project that money was announced for several times in several budgets, and that is, of course, the topic of Coley's Point Primary School. We have a building, a school, 60-year plus. This building should have been replaced a decade ago. I remember as far back as when the Honourable Member Roland Butler was the MHA for the Portagrave District at the time, and it was something that he lobbied for. And it even goes back, farther than that. Educators in the area, principals who once principaled that school, Miss Joy Brown, was vocal about this just recently at the task force, the Premier's task force on education. So this is something that's been looked over. We hear the great news about the schools, opening their doors around the province. The member from Cape St. Francis just mentioned, of course, a school in his district, and that's wonderful. How wonderful that must be. But, I ask again, where was the decisions? Where was the priority? Where was the consideration for Coley's Point Primary at that time? And it's still an issue today, and as we know, we're in a horrible fiscal financial situation, arguably the worst our province has ever seen. But please, don't mislead the public, or anyone, any honourable member here in this House on any side. Be honest. Let's stand up and take the responsibility, and let's not act in ignorance, because certainly we're left with what we're left with, and as the old saying goes, you can't get blood from a turnip. Well, that's pretty much what we're working with here today, Mr. Speaker. Also now, I want to acknowledge, of course, the firefighters for the town of Bay Roberts. Just recently I attended their firefighters' ball. They were celebrating 74 years, and these brave volunteers, they provide fire and emergency services to communities such as Portagrave, Barroneed, Coley's Point, Country Road, Bay Roberts, Shearstown, Butlerville, and of course they came together for their annual ball. Also, I want to say a big thank you to firefighters across Conception Bay North, because when someone falls on challenging times, everybody tends to step up in our region, in Conception Bay North and in the district of Harbour Grace, Portagrave. As we know, the town of Spaniards Bay, Tilton, faced some challenging times with regards to their fire services, and although they remained dedicated to the cause, neighbouring fire stations such as Upper Island Cove, of course, and Harbour Grace and Bay Roberts stepped in and reassured residents that fire and emergency services certainly will be front and centre, and those residents wouldn't be neglected, although there were some challenging times happening in the town of Spaniards Bay, Tilton. So I want to thank those firefighters for their leadership, of course, in that. But always lots of good things happening, though, in the district of Harbour Grace, Portagrave. I want to talk about the Goodwill Seniors Club of Spaniards Bay. Recently, I was able to secure some funding for them, and of course, this is under the grants of the Healthy Living and Recreation Fund. So and again, I want to say kudos to those residents for doing all they can for practicing healthy living and recreation, and to keep that going in our communities, of course. Also, Harbour Grace as well, able to secure some funding for them for their recreation and whatnot, for their walking trails. They're making, of course, they're constructing. It's going to be a really renowned walking trail down there. Also, Spaniards Bay, for the rec centre in Spaniards Bay, I'm happy to say just under $20,000 was secured for that community, for healthy living and recreation, to make upgrades for accessibility for that rec centre. But, Mr. Speaker, certainly it is, we all stand here, and I think we all stand here with heavy hearts when we talk about the decisions that have to be made. And and they're tough, and I hear about them on a regular basis. But again, you know, I encourage all honourable member in this House just, you know, take responsibility for the faith and the trust that has been placed in each and every one of us, and not just for the official opposition, but also for the third party. You know, we want to hear them, you know, take their responsibility as well, and you know, and to keep accountable for the criticisms that they've made prior to this administration taking government and whatnot. Because we all are here. Every one of us were elected to represent our citizens, our seniors, our young people, our middle class, our lower class, our upper class, everybody in Newfoundland and Labrador. So let's not get here and, you know, and make wastage of time in this honourable House, because it certainly is an honour to be here. And when given the opportunity to speak and to ask questions, let's ask some constructive questions, and let's put to the, you know, let's put the topics on the table that are important to Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, as opposed to petty politics and drama. Because if people want that, Mr. Speaker, you know, we've got daytime soap operas, such as Days of Our Lives, we've got Young and the Restless, we've got it all. So let's make use of our time here in this legislature, because it is certainly an honour to be here. And it's not to be taken lightly. It's not to be taken for granted. You know, we put ourselves forward, we put our names on ballots for that. And the people of this and our great province, they make their way out to those polls. It's a challenge for some people to even get out.
Order,
some
please.
People who are not even mobile.
Order, please. I remind the honourable member their speaking time has expired.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.